Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is John Wild, and let's get right into the video. So today, what I wanted to talk about is my thoughts on the history of Battlefield and what direction it is going in. Now this video is completely unscripted. I literally have nothing up on a notepad or anything, so I'm just gonna kind of go into a talk, I guess you could kind of say. I really don't know. But anyways, I started playing Battlefield back in Battlefield 2 Special Forces on the original Xbox. Now it was Special Forces because it was some weird expansion, and that was all I had on the Xbox, but it was still Battlefield 2 on the Xbox. Really the only thing different is that you could switch between players in the single player campaign, which is all I ever played because I didn't have Xbox Live. And it was honestly really fun, and I really enjoyed that game. After that, I don't know, say skip forward 3 to 5, just even 7 years maybe, to when I finally built a computer strong enough, kinda sorta, to run Battlefield 3. That was my next game. And man, did I love Battlefield 3. It didn't matter that my computer wasn't really strong enough to play it, and it didn't matter that whenever I got shot, I basically black screened and my player froze, so it was basically a one-hit kill on me when it took 5 shots to kill everybody else. I still loved that game, and honestly, that was when the game was at its peak as of now. With that said, I have also, in the past couple of years, played Battlefield 4, after all the patches of course, and all the DLC and all of that. And I also have played Battlefield Bad Company 2, including the Vietnam expansion, which, sadly, RIP in pieces. No one really plays that anymore, which is a shame, because man, did I love that DLC. That's all I played for a little bit. Like, out of the 20 hours I have on that game, about 19 of them is on the Vietnam expansion. The other 5 or so minutes into the campaign, and the rest is, you know, in the regular rush game modes in the regular game, because I really wanted to see how that was. So, talking about Battlefield 4 from Battlefield 3, in the beginning, obviously it didn't do so good, because, you know, of all the coding and whatnot that was messed up, and just not performance running right, and all of that. But it was basically Battlefield 3, but improved, better graphics, and better conquest maps, I would say. Battlefield 3 had way better infantry fights, whereas Battlefield 4 is more vehicle, in my perspective. Some people may disagree with me, and I don't blame you if you do. It really just depends on your playstyle. And I'm gonna kind of go backwards here. Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, is, in my mind, a really big change. Battlefield 3 seemed almost like a greased version of Bad Company 2 with both the movement and how everything else worked. But the mechanics, you could definitely tell were different. It was more of a modern FPS shooter as the developers got better and better at making FPS shooters. And whether or not that's good or bad, many people can argue about that. Honestly, I thought it was good. It's definitely a lot more butter smooth. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or really not the elephant if you're on the PC, is Hardline. When I played Hardline Beta, like we're talking every day after school, until I literally fried my power supply. Yeah, I was playing with Ross Man when I started smelling smoke, and I learned that I fried my power supply. So I ended up having to get a new power supply, and what I learned from that is don't get power supplies from eBay, especially if they're golden. Man, that was not a good smell, and it took forever to get out of my room. But Hardline had potential, you know, they tried to branch out, which was good. The thing is that it didn't have enough guns for people to stay with it long enough for them to come out with new guns. Of course, now it has plenty of guns, in my opinion. And also, it was the change in health and how much damage bullets actually do. people generally want it to get slower than what it is right now in a fashion. Battlefield 4 was okay, but instead they upped it so you died faster and didn't have any time to respond, and people just didn't like that. Console is still alive and well, and one of my theories behind that is because console doesn't have that very many FPS shooters right now, and of course I'm talking about next gen, which is why it's still alive and well. But the reason it died on PC is because we have millions upon billions upon zillions of FPS shooters that we can play, and there's honestly better ones we can play for just the same price or less. Insurgency, for example, if you're into that kind of tactical shooter. So next up, what we're going to talk about is Battlefield 1. What I think about it, and is it going to be a good direction for Battlefield? I am glad, for one, that they decided to go World War I, or any World War in general. I would have been glad if they went World War II, instead of going further into the future, like the other company that we all know what I'm talking about. I don't even have to say their name. And props to them, man. I did not expect that out of EA. But with that said, I expected it more from EA than I did with Activision or whoever's making the new Call of Duty. Yeah, props to DICE. It sounds like, from what I've heard, they wanted to go futuristic. EA did, but DICE ended up talking them out of it. So props to them. As far as the game itself goes, I was honestly expecting more bolt-action rifles, but I see why there isn't. From a gameplay standpoint, bolt actions would just get too repetitive, because how Battlefield works usually with bolt actions, you'd shoot one guy, you'd get them down to like 20 health or so, because it'd do about 80 damage, and then you just pull out your pistol and finish them off. That's all the gameplay would be if they had that same damage model that they have right now for the bolt actions. By adding SMGs and all the machine guns and stuff into there and all the prototypes, makes a lot more sense gameplay-wise. It's not quite historically accurate, but that's okay, it's a video game. Besides, with it being in World War I, the younger kids now will go and research World War I, and finally that war will start to be more known. And I would like to see Battlefield go into other, genres like that. Maybe Vietnam again. I would love to see another Vietnam game. Red Orchestra 2, I know, is coming out with a Vietnam game. That'll be awesome. Or heck, maybe even go to the Korean War, or maybe smaller wars that were almost proxy wars, like Operation Grenada. Well, I guess that's not really a proxy war, but you know what I'm talking about. Operation Grenada, Operation Just Cause, those smaller things. That would make for interesting things, and that would make for great DLCs as well if you want to do that kind of shizazz, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that would bolt actions I get for Battlefield 1. Also, the HUD was kind of interesting when I saw it on the live stream. I guess the only really thing that threw me off is the non-traditional HUD style. It looks a lot like Battlefront. Wow, Battlefront. Which is okay though, I eventually got used to it. It's not too simplistic and it's not too advanced. It's not as detailed, I think, as the other Battlefield, say Battlefield 3. I really liked how they had the heart meter on there and whatnot for your health. That was a nice touch, but it's Battlefield World War I. They didn't have heart scanners, I guess, back then, so that wouldn't really fit in. But the other thing that threw me off was the reticle when you sprint, the little circle thing. That kind of threw me off because it just looks cheesy in my mind, so hopefully you can change the reticles or only have a reticle if you decide to bayonet charge. That would be nice, but yeah, that's my thoughts on Battlefield 1, and I think it's going in a good direction for Battlefield, especially because of all the hype behind it. Of course, hype is a double-bladed sword in and of itself. It can make a game, and it can ruin a game. Watch Dogs, for example. It's a good game, but it was just overhyped, and it could not exceed those expectations that everybody had about it. So hopefully it doesn't get too overhyped. So far, people seem to have a level head about it, especially with the gameplay. People are having a fun time with it. And let's just hope that the French DLC is the free DLC they're talking about. Anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Make sure to leave a comment thinking about what you think about how the Battlefield franchise is going. A rating is always appreciated, and subscribe if you want more. This is John Wild signing out.